I do have something that my mind is telling me that it's kind of a futile situation.
Hmm.
It literally means
Futile.
fighting City Hall, literally.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah. So the work is all about loving what is, right? And when I'm fighting City Hall, I'm arguing with what is, and it's stressful. And so whether you can win the battle or not is not the question. It's whether you
Yeah.
can be peaceful. And so a futile situation can be very interesting to question with the work.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling some sense of um, despair, kind of this like resignation, and I don't feel peace around it. It's just
Hmm.
something I've recently learned about that they're going to be building these very, very tall buildings across this street. And it's not directly across from me, it's directly across from some other developments, but it's close enough that it's going to have impact. It's going to impact the whole area. And many residents are upset by this. And there's a question as to apparently something got passed somewhere along the way that if you have a certain number of affordable housing units that they don't have to go through the usual channels of having an open meeting where people can express their concerns and um, about the impact and have their say. That it just feels like this was done under, they snuck it in, and that the people being impacted had absolutely no say in it. And I've heard that there is a meeting coming up at City Hall, but we're not sure that this may have already been passed. And I posted asking what, if anything, could be done. And it was really funny because I actually got answered by someone who's been the city commissioner who's running for reelection. So it was like the perfect time to address it. But he basically gave some. He's been, and apparently he's been fighting this. I didn't know that. In any case, it just feels kind of hopeless. Like they've already
Mm-hmm.
decided that,
Mm-hmm.
like the mayor and all these other people are, totally on board with it, that this is what they want to do. And um, we've already seen the impact that overbuilding in certain areas can cause. And this is going to further impact that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good situation. Um, I heard, I took a few notes as you were writing and some possible one liners that we could question. One is they snuck it in, another is the people impacted have no say, and another is they've already decided. Does any one of those sound like it's close to the stress that you're feeling?
But they all feel true. But
Yes, they may all be, right? So,
even though I know it probably isn't, there's a part of me that wants to argue that they're true. Um, what was the last one you said?
they've already decided.
That's the one that seems the scariest to me.
Okay.
even though I don't know that absolutely is the case. One said it was, and another one said it wasn't. So I'm not real sure.
Okay. Yeah.
And it feels like it won't even matter, even if it feels like if we get to say anything, that it's just going to be a formality. They're just going to allow us to have our say, but the decision's already been made. There's too much money involved.
Got it. Okay. Well, let's do the work.
Okay.
So they've already decided on this development. Is it true?
I don't know.
So this this question is technically a yes or a no question, which makes it a
Yeah.
hard question when you don't know.
Yeah.
So if you go with your experience with what you have, what you know right now, and you had to land, where would it be closest to? Like if you had to,
It would be a yes.
okay, good. And then can you absolutely know it's true? They've already decided.
Yeah. Even if it's not formally approved, I think that in their minds they have made that decision.
Okay, good. Yeah. And I love that you're sticking with your experience as you see it. Even though you don't know all the facts, you can still answer this question as you just did. So, how do you react? What happens when you think they've already decided in this situation?
Yeah, one of the things I do is I look at the past, which was my evidence for that second yes, for sticking with
Mm,
it, was that we've been down this route before in other areas in our city, and I've seen them. It's like they do what they're going to do. The developers get their way, and we have no say in it, and it's happened before. And in
yeah,
the past, and I see these images of how in the past more people knew about it and were fighting against it, and it still made no difference.
yeah,
And I also think about, well, if the city commissioner who's been arguing our case, or he agrees with this, and he said his colleagues don't. If he can't even persuade them, it's like, what chance do we have? Um, I feel angry. I feel victimized. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but I feel victimized. I feel, yeah, I'm imagining in the future the incredible traffic, because it's right now, there's only one lane each way and there's no room for more. I mean, literally, you'd have to tear down some buildings, which they may end up doing, who knows? And we don't have adequate drainage or sewage. And I'm in a hurricane, but I'm actually, this is actually in an area that's hurricane um, susceptible, that um, we have to leave when there's a hurricane threat, because we're considered a high risk area that we have to evacuate. It's mandatory evacuation. So it's absolutely crazy that they want to build this here. And so I think of the quality of life, and all this is in the future, how it's going to affect the quality of life, how it's going, all these really super tall buildings that they're planning are going to cut out the sun, and all the mango trees and all of that are going to be affected. I think it's going to increase costs for everybody, and we're going to have, God, I just see so many problems with this. The traffic, it's like, and then I feel angry and and I think, God, I want to just move. I'm wondering, can I sell my place before this comes out in the known where more people know about it? Like, can I sell it before yeah, which makes me feel bad too, because then it's like I'm trying to hide something too. Um, yeah, I just feel hopeless. And I
Yeah.
notice that even though I've been given two phone numbers and two email addresses to contact, and I just got them, so I probably will contact them, but it just feels like it's kind of an exercise in futility.
Right. So, how does that affect your willingness or to try contacting, for example?
Begrudgingly.
Right.
I mean, I'll
Right.
do it, but I am doing it from a pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it's the feeling of futile. So what's the use almost
Yeah,
at the
it's like,
same time?
why? I don't want to expend a lot of energy or a lot of time in it. I mean, I even wrote down when the next meeting at City Hall is. It's on my calendar and I can go, but there's even this hesitancy to go. It's like, well, I'll go, and even if I want to speak up, it's kind of, I don't, it's like I'm already telling myself they won't take it seriously. Who am I?
Yeah.
They got these
Yeah.
developers who, are convincing them that it's going to bring a lot of money into the area and that it's going to be affordable housing. And we've just found out that they only have to provide a very minimal number of units and only for 3 years. After that, they can jack up all so it's all a farce. It's
Got
all
it.
just a way to get, yeah. So it's just,
So this thought, they've already decided, it's like it gets you into the future and the past, as you've described so clearly, and kind of takes any impetus out to go further with contacting
yeah.
the officials.
It makes me
Yeah.
want to complain, but not actually take action because,
Yeah,
it's
right?
like action won't do anything and complaining doesn't either, but at least it makes me feel like, I don't know. I mean, it's not constructive, but for some reason it feels like I just get to vent.
That's it. Yeah. And nothing wrong with venting, but what we're seeing is this thought, like, only allows that much venting and no further, with this thought they've already decided. Because as you started it out, the thought is it's futile. So who would you be if you can imagine for a moment thinking about this building project? If you didn't have the thought, they've already decided. Would there be any difference for you?
Like it's proposed, but it's not a done deal yet. Or they're
Everything's the
not even a
same.
proposal, because it is a proposal. I mean, it's not like there's not any talk about it. It is something that's there.
So keep the situation exactly as it is, at this
Yeah.
exact stage that it is right now. So it's been brought up. I don't know what all has happened. but all of that stays the same. But in your mind, you just don't have the idea that they've already decided. You're not thinking that. Who would you be?
I'd be I'd be wanting to rent a bus to get people to City Hall for that meeting. I would I would say this was a window of opportunity to not, and I think that if I didn't feel that it was like a done deal, my anger would surpass my fear of speaking up. I think I would be able to speak at the meeting or to accompany somebody who is speaking. Um, yeah, I think whatever nervousness or embarrassment would be, because it would be more the impetus of I want to try to make something else. I want to try to like at least have a chance,
Yeah,
because I realize even if it's not a done deal, even if everything were working in my favor, there's still no guarantee.
right. But the difference is with the thought that they've already decided, it's like there's not, it's almost like you give up before you even start, before it doesn't even give it a chance in a way. Without the thought they've already decided, there's more willingness from what I'm hearing to act and to be seizing that window of opportunity.
Yeah, what's different too is with the thought, I'm annoyed that I even have to fight it. Without the thought, it's like it's an opportunity. It's like that window of
Hmm.
opportunity. The first one, it felt like this is an imposition. This is
Mhm.
I shouldn't have to do this. Without
Right.
the thought, it's like I'm nervous, but for a different reason. It's more like, okay, we've got that. There's never going to be a better time than now. With elections coming up, with this meeting coming up, it may be the last opportunity we have to have any influence whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big difference in the way you're thinking about or the way you're experiencing the same exact situation.
I mean, I'm still
So,
scared because there's still the fear of even if I didn't believe it's a done deal, there's still the fear that that could be the outcome. But
of course.
at least it's like, okay, either way, it's not in my control, but at least I'll have done whatever I could.
Yes. That's it. That's it.
Now I
That's
feel
exactly
almost
it.
obligated, and that still doesn't feel real good.
Well, yeah, that's taking it further, right, which is a whole other stressful thought, but what we're seeing is the effect of this thought here, with it, it's a feeling of being disempowered and
Yeah.
just giving up, and without it, even though it may still be a slim chance or who knows what the outcome will be, there's more natural motivation to do something, to act, to seize the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that's what this thought does to you. Like when it comes into your mind, they've already decided, then all that possibility of acting just by the goes out. Um, and if it's not there, then that possibility is still there. And of course, still maybe, like I said, a long shot. But the difference is in your inner experience, and that's what we're looking
Yeah.
at in this work.
With the thought, I'm a victim. Without the thought, even if the outcome is the same, if I have an opportunity and I feel like I've done anything that I could, then at least I've done what I could. I've
Yeah.
taken some kind of a power, even, regardless of how it turns out, because that I have no control over.
Yes. Exactly. I'm just reminded of the serenity prayer at this moment, of like,
Yeah, that one.
um,
Oh,
just the difference between what I can control and what I can't control. And when this thought isn't there, the possibility of doing something where I actually still can control starts to show up instead of everything being out of my control, which feels like a victim.
yeah.
So, seeing the effect of this thought, let's try turning it around. They've already decided that was your original. What's a
Mhm.
turnaround we could look at?
I've decided.
That was pretty clear. Yep.
Yeah, I noticed that a little before, and I didn't. Yeah, I was trying not to look at that. Um,
That's right. So,
yeah,
turnaround is I've already decided.
I've already
So, tell me
decided.
what you see.
I've already decided that I'm gonna have to fight. Is why I feel so reluctant because even without the thought, without the thought, now I feel like okay, if there's something I can do, now I have to do it. But I guess that's a different thought. But yeah, I've already decided it's useless. I've already decided we won't be heard. I'm already decided we won't be taken seriously. I've already decided it's going to be a catastrophe, that all these things that I think are going to happen, I can't know for sure. I mean, like I said, my brain was at 90%. I would say it's probably a little lower than that now, that maybe it won't be as bad as what I'm imagining. So, yeah, I really decided, yeah, it's like I've decided I'm a victim. I've decided I'm
Mm,
powerless. I've decided there's nothing I can do. And that's probably also driving some of the anger and yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel that kind of anger, that kind of powerless anger, unless I've stepped into the victim role. So, I've already decided I'm a victim is a very interesting piece of
yeah.
this.
Even the anger piece is coming from that. Because if I felt like I have a chance, I wouldn't feel resentful that I have to go and do this. It
Right,
feels like I have to do something as opposed to, hey, here's an opportunity.
exactly. Okay, so this is a nice balance to the idea that they've already decided. It's like, wait a minute, I've already decided. And that's playing a big role in that powerless feeling, that futile feeling, and that victim feeling.
Yeah.
So what's another turnaround? They've already decided. What would be
They
another way to turn it
haven't
around?
decided.
Okay,
And
so
I
let's look
don't
at the
even know.
possibilities.
So that, first of all, I haven't confirmed one way or another.
Hmm.
Secondly, as far as I know, there is a um, city meeting, open meeting for people that I can
Hmm.
go to, whether or not I don't know whether or not that has any impact, but even if they go ahead with it, it just dawned on me that it might not be a bad thing to talk about it anyway, because I'm sure this will come up again. If they don't hear from anybody, if they're not hearing objections, then they're just going to, they don't think there's anybody that's concerned about it, then it's like free license to continue, you know. But
Sure.
if they know
Sure.
that we're watching and that re-elections are, wow, actually I do have more power than I realized. If elections are coming up, even if
Hmm.
they've already decided, they know we're watching. They know we're aware.
Wow.
So that, yeah, that's actually,
Wow.
that was what I needed, because I was still feeling like now I have to do something I shouldn't have to do. With still that victim-y feeling like, okay, now that there is something I can do, now I have to. And I still wasn't seeing the benefit of it if I wasn't going to get the result. But I do see there's still a benefit of, because then at least, regardless of the outcome, I'm doing what's in my power
Yeah.
to impact it.
Yep. That makes all the difference. When you're doing everything from your side, then there's a feeling of empowerment inside. Even if you don't get what you want, it's like at least you tried everything you could, you gave it your best. There's a good feeling inside, which is very different than that victim feeling where it's
Yeah,
like,
it's at
oh,
least then I can accept, I did all I could and I tried and I did my best, and you know what? It
yep,
didn't come out. At least it's easier to accept than to have no say whatsoever.
that's it. That's it. Exactly. And then once, like, even more possibilities open up if you've given it your all and it still doesn't go the way you wanted and you're not in this victim place, then there's still options of like, what do I stay? Do I move to another place? Or do I, what other things could I consider that will allow me to have, live the life the way I want to live it?
Yeah, that's a good point, because I wasn't truly considering, when I was saying, oh, I wonder if I could sell all of that was coming from this victim. It
Yeah,
wasn't like anything productive, like us having any real productive,
right.
thought out plans. you know?
Right. It's just complaining,
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
I'll empty threats. I'll just leave,
Yeah, like
Yeah,
these empty threats, all these angry thoughts in my head is somehow going to convince them to
right,
not do what I
exactly.
want them. Yeah,
But when we look at this turnaround, it's like they haven't already decided. Even if they have, like turns out they have, then well, we can still elect different people and then it could be overruled if there was enough pushback. And then even if that still went ahead, I still like have choices. Like in other words, nothing's decided. Like my fate isn't sealed and locked into I'm just going to have to be a victim for the whole situation. Like there's constantly another option and another option, and after that there'll be another option. Like that's the experience.
yeah.
So
So if
that's
I'm
what these
complaining, I'm doing it to people who hear me rather than in my head. It's like,
exactly. So it's more empowering actually.
exactly.
And one step of empowerment leads to another step of empowerment, leads to another step of empowerment. And that's how I stay in my power because I'm constantly doing what I can do to the best of my ability. Whereas when I give up and I'm just feeling victimized and then I'm like just complaining in my head and angry in my head, then it just goes nowhere. And that victim thing gets built up and it
Yeah.
becomes harder and harder to act. This is really cool work. It's a very real situation, but it also speaks to me and I think to others listening of how the thinking can really affect the experience of something being futile or me being a victim instead of me feeling empowered and having options.
Yeah, and I'm realizing now if I now sending letters, emails, or making calls, I feel like coming from a not this angry, you know, like they've done something to me kind of uh, that I'll be able to be more articulate and get my message across in a way that it's more likely to be heard and will sound more powerful because coming from a victim, it's not going to sound, blaming and it's not going to sound powerful at all.
No.
Yeah.
You got it. You got it.
Which is one of the
Really cool.
reasons I was feeling like I was like, I don't really want to do this because I think on some level I knew it was coming from a victim and it just feels ick, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Exactly. So what I love about the work, what we just done here is it cleans up some of that victim feeling. Kind of gets that like I get into a different place because I'm looking at the effect of the thought and I'm seeing the turnarounds and it puts me in kind of out of that victim a little more and then it's much more inspiring to go into action even if it's challenging or takes courage to do.
Yeah,
It's not coming from that victim place where it's probably not going to be received and I already don't even feel like doing it. I'm almost yeah, I don't even want to show up when I'm
yeah.
in that spot.
Now there's a chance. And I think it's a good chance for me to at least take action.
Cool.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for your work. Yeah, really, really nice to hear your work.